sector has been robust in June. But questions remain about the critical sector's recovery path and pace going ahead. What can banks do to further boost liquidity in the system and meet the credit requirements for these industries? What are the other issues that plague the segment and need attention? Mr. Raghunathan, an AIMO survey last June had said that about 78% of MSMEs were not satisfied with the financial relief package announced by the center. So, in your opinion, in discussions with firms, how is the sector doing now? And do you think that there's a revival underway after the second wave and the festive season approaching? Please share your views.
Thank you, Surabhi. Good evening, Mr. Shankar, Mr. Ketan. First of all, on behalf of all the entrepreneurs in India, I would like to thank the banking fraternity as a whole, because they have been one of the other frontline warriors during the last 14 months. Two things were affected. One was a life, other one was a livelihood. Life was saved by the nurses and doctors and hospitals. The livelihoods were saved thanks to the bankers. Now, coming on to the subject, Surabhi, I would like to be on behalf of the voice of the voiceless in this country. The word MSME has also gone through a tremendous change in the last 14 months. Earlier, MSME was only classified between manufacturing and services and based on the investment in the plant and machinery. But today, from a 1 crore turnover to 250 crore turnover, people can be called an MSME. Whether you are a trader, whether you are a service provider, whether you are a manufacturer, you all can be classified under MSME now. Now, no more MSME contributes 30%. In our opinion, MSME will contribute 60% of the GDP now. First and foremost. Second point is, it is no more a 12 crore, 6.3 crore as an MSME. It will be now close to almost about 14 crores of MSME because traders are included into that. With that having said that, we haven't done enough for the micro entrepreneurs. You know, whom I'm talking about is those who are with less than 5 crore turnover. If you take them as a micro entrepreneur, they are the worst hit and they are the large in numbers. Now, if you want me to address this, I will address it from the perspective of the loans. I will classify them into those who are already having a loan, those who are needing a fresh loan, that startup, the new enterprises, and those kind of people. Those who have already a loan, we will split it into further, those who are regular and those who are irregular. Those who are irregular, we will further split it into those who want to quit the business or they want to revive their business. Now, each one of them has to be addressed into a different ways of doing it. It is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a solution. We have in the stimulus package, for example, we had the ECGLS scheme. Scheme is a good scheme, but the riding conditions prevented those who wanted it not to be availing it. The fund of funds, even today, even after 1 year, it was never a takeoff. The loan restructuring again went into the problems with the eligibility conditions of being a regular account as on 31st of March. There are several sectors which never bounced back in March, in spite of the 14 months of lockdown period for them. I can cite plenty of people. You know, you can talk about saloons, you can talk about gyms, you can talk about automobile showrooms, you can talk about printing press, office equipment supply. I can go on because we have identified 52 sectors at the micro entrepreneur level who provide employment opportunity for the informal sector, who are never under the radar of anybody for that matter, have not been cared, have not been addressed, have not been taken care, have not been fed with what they want. Now, let me explain to you a few more points, Surabhi, just putting the stage on the right perspective. On one side, we are very happy to see the huge profits from the bankers and the corporates. At the same time, we are painful to see equal amount or in fact more advertisement in every newspaper today about the recoveries from the micro entrepreneurs. Open any page of the paper today. You will find 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs outstandings on which the huge advertisement comes in recovery from the assets under the Surface Act. The NPA cases are going. On one side, I feel very happy Mr. Ketan's organization is growing exponentially. On the other side, I am painful to see that much of people in the market are having problem in recovery of the loans, which they have to go to the trade platform to get it. See the conditions of this is not the growth which we wanted to emphasize with. Coming to a micro entrepreneur, what issues are generally faced? Sir, I'm not limiting to SBA. I'm talking in generic perspective. The first and foremost is lack of response from the bankers, summarily rejecting the proposals, demanding the collateral security for loans, even if it is below 2 crores. No redressal in time when the boat is started sinking or when they start doing bad. Delay in the sanction, thereby the stress and the overcost run. Fear psychosis at the ground level on decision making. We have seen many times the bank manager who has a relationship with the clients, who wants to do it but unable to do it because of the policy or because of the fear of being questioned later on. The exit route honor, the cost of the loan with the interest burdens, the dues and the debtor funding, the GST, customer outstandings, ratings by the bankers, incentives for the proper services. If somebody had paid their loans, there is the incentive. Takeover of the facility like a SIM card transferability must be allowed, whereas we are now allowing not to have more than one account from the bank holder. The world is changing on the other side, but the banking system has not changed. We are today talking about digital banking. I don't see any bank coming out with a 15-minute role by individual banks. Why should there be a collective 59-minute loan system by a third party? Each bank could actually come out with a 30-minute loan sanctioning. Why can't the bank come out with a friendly networking between their customer? Suppose I run a company, I bank with SBA and I supply to somebody else who is also banking with SBA. Can the funding be common? Instead of two people taking the loan and running the businesses and paying the interest to the banks, can we network? Can the procurement of the bank for their own needs, can it be from their own customer? Demand creation, competitiveness. These are all the kind of things which we would like to debate and discuss and take it forward. We can't pat ourselves. On one side, I'm very happy that the economy is reviving back because any spring which is compressed, when you leave it, it has to come back to its, it will take a longer length and then only it will compress to a shorter normal length. So you're not surprised with the details, but a company, an entrepreneur who has lost 12 months of profit, in order to for him to recoup that, he has to do 30% more than what he was doing earlier for next almost 3.5 years to get back the 12 months profit what he lost. This is a simple system, but you can't say they have revived back. You can't say they have got back. Technology is taking them on a war foot. Take the automobile manufacturer, ancillaries. It used to be an ancillary manufacturing if you have a couple of lathes and the fitting rooms. Today it is not so. The technology of the automobile is vastly changing. So the technologies are becoming redundant. We need to cope up with all this. We need to fight the raw material problem. We need to fight the employment opportunity problem. We have a lot of things to worry about, and the banker must consider us as their honored customer, not as a willful defaulters. The bankers at the first button should not press exit route of their relationship with the bank. When I do well, they call me a relationship banking. When I am not doing well, they call me immediately a traitor and push the button of ejecting. They eject whom? They eject the system. But at the same time, the bankers post a very good profitability and we are very happy. But at the same time, please be human in your approach when you talk to an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur has no choice to go anywhere else. If you close him from one business, he has to restart another business. It is not easy. A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. An entrepreneur needs to be nurtured. An entrepreneur cannot be killed and sabotaged. I fought and I got to successfully removing the photograph of an entrepreneur being published by some of the bankers when they are recovering. Because most of us, we will have only our wife or a brother or a sister as our guarantors. And even their photographs were earlier given in the advertisement. Thankfully, those things were all gone. We have recovered back from the COVID. We don't know about the third wave. We have lost some of the entrepreneurs in the COVID 2 and the COVID 1. We have lost some of the business models, but the bankers, with the huge profit they have made, with the huge money at their disposal, must come forward and help the micro entrepreneurs in this country. The micro entrepreneurs in our quantifying is about 99% of the MSME, less than 5 crores. Their needs are 2 crores, 1.5 crores, 1 crore 50 lakhs. They have no scope to play around. Please help them. I'll stop here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raghunathan. What you've talked about is very interesting, and you've brought to the fore a lot of more new issues. So, Mr. Shankar spoke about, you spoke about how banks have been cautious, and Mr. Shankar spoke about how, credit appetite is also a little low. So, in your opinion, do you think that because of the pandemic, the lack of growth and expansion opportunities for MSMEs, and also is liquidity the only issue for the sector?
Mr. Shankar is right from his perspective. I am speaking from the other side of the coin. Both of us are actually speaking the facts. Now, you take ECGLS scheme. I have never said it has not delivered anything good for anybody. I have only said it has served purpose of only about 50 lakhs MSMEs in the country. I asked, what about the balance MSMEs in the country? What is the route for them to avail funding? Is a question mark. Now, priority has been changing, and we have been raising our voice to be heard for the prioritization. Second point, when it comes to the TRED platform, the majority of the problems of the micro entrepreneurs are with the PSUs, not with the corporates. The corporates, we will go and beg them and cagify them and then get our money even after a few months or few days. They will understand our problem, because if we start supplying them next to 15 days, they will know what the problem is and then they'll make some advances. And because outstanding has been only about 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, maximum 50 lakhs of rolling capital. But the problem is with the PSUs. And if the PSUs are missing there in the TRED link, then it also opens up the other statement of finance minister saying that we will make sure in 45 days all the government payments are being made to the MSMEs. Then how is it being controlled? How is it being impacted? How is it being affected? Has to be seen. I'm not saying is it not seen. Please understand, I am not a critic. I am only a suggestive person as to what is the missing links in this. Second point, there is an appetite of the people who need money because they did not get any stimulus into them so far. The people who took the 20%, they never anticipated when they took 20% that there will be a second wave or there will be a longer extension of the lockdown period in the first year. Because the scheme was announced in the month of June and most of us availed it in the month of July, August, and then we were not able to operate even till the month of October because of the lockdown condition. Then heavy rains came in certain parts of the country, and then the farmers' strike started, which disrupted the movement of the materials. Then the container issues came when the finished goods were not able to exit. There were other issues connected with it. So we were not adequate with the 20%. So this is exactly what it is coming. There is an appetite of the people who want it. There is a money available with the bankers, but it has to be judiciously spent. At the same time, it has to be given to the right people. The person who needs a water needs to be given water. Otherwise, he will die of starvation. This is what I am trying to highlight, Surabhi. And I have already complimented the people at the banking for having done the human service to the people. I can never function as an entrepreneur if I had not been supported by a banker. Let's understand that. But the only concern for me is When I am suffering, you are immediately exiting me. Why are you filing a divorce paper when I have just picked up a small quarrel with you? We can sit and discuss and resolve it. Let's resolve it. Why do you want me to go to a threat platform and file a complaint to recover my money, and then you call me separately and fire me for having filed it through the other platform? We need to have a reconciliation, and that is what the trade bodies must do. You are more dependent on civil score. You are more dependent on the profit and loss balance sheets. You are more dependent on the business model, which I myself will not know. You wanted me to restructure, Mr. Shankar. But how do I restructure when I did not know whether the third COVID will come or not? How will I restructure? I'm talking the restructuring opportunity came to us about 4 months back when the COVID-2 was not available. How will we function that? How anybody would have expected that? So a stitch in time would have saved 9. In this case, a saving of one entrepreneur would have saved 9 employees being out of the job. And creating a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. I can go on and on and on about the entrepreneur because I have been a first generation entrepreneur 36 years in my life. I have had one company, one product, 36 years running the company. So obviously, I was also selected as the best small-scale industries by the country. I have gone through 3 times at the debt recovery tribunal. I have availed every facility what one could avoid. Whether you call a gold loan, whether you call an auto loan, whether you call a personal loan, whether you call a property loan, whether you call a CCC limit, whether you call a packing credit, whether you call a bill discounting limit, whether you call a term loan, I have availed everything. But I am still a relationship banker. I enjoy doing business with the bank. We fight and quarrel, but at the end of the day, we put the hands on the shoulder and walk. So the question here is, please give an honorable exit to an entrepreneur if he wants to scoot and restart in a different format, because it's very difficult for him to survive otherwise. That is all what the pleading was in this today's meeting, because hundreds and thousands and lakhs of entrepreneurs are today suffocating. You see the comment box here between you and me. You all of us can see the question and answer. 80% of the questions are either they are ignorant that such a facility is available, or they don't know what to do, or they don't know they are being denied of their rightful needs from their bank what to do. This is what is coming. And this is where the concern is, and this is where we all must address. And I'm sure Mr. Shankar will be very happy when he retires in his life, having left behind a couple of thousands of entrepreneurs going as a unicorns in his life. That can happen, Mr. Shankar, because your seat has given you the powers to make that entrepreneur flourish. And I'm sure Mr. Ketan will be most happiest man when he leaves that seat, saying X number of crores of disputed amount has been settled by his hard work. I think this is what we are looking for. I would be happy to retire as a businessman when I have created wealth for my people. And my people are my customers, my staff, and my life. This is all what we are looking at, not just one side and say we K-shape recovery or V-shape recovery or IPOs or unicorns or foreigner coming here or digital empowerments. This is not what is going to lift us. The street smart entrepreneur is going to lift us. Will you have your next generation become an entrepreneur? The question is 80% of the first generation entrepreneur like me, we will say no, because the painful life we have gone through. And we have never been understood properly. We have always been understood as a man who is out there to cheat, but honesty was not rewarded. The contributions of an entrepreneur has not been extended to the way it has to be extended. There can be exceptions. Mr. Shankar or SBA can be an exception. I have no problems. But that exception should be the odd man out, not the good man out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raghunathan. You've brought about very interesting points, and very interesting how you spoke, about how, the second generation may not want to be an entrepreneur.
So, I will only add a criticism here, but the digitalization by the government, we know of only 2 miseries in our life. One is the GST platform which came, robbed the entrepreneurs from their survival. The second one is currently the ongoing income tax portal. we are denied of the refunds. We are denied of filing returns. So both these portals, thanks to the digital movement of this country, has only made entrepreneurs sit with auditors and consultants and advisors for more than half the time of their life every day. I will ask my auditor to tell you how much of a time he wastes attempting to see whether the IT portal has started working or not. Even after started working, then the OTP does not come in time. If the OTP comes after 10 minutes and it arrives with the delayed usages, there are a lot of hitches. So while I totally agree that digital platforms can lead to human interferences and human interruptions or modifications, at the same time, nothing can be introduced without proper checking. Test it properly, do all your studies properly internally, and then give it to us for a field implementation, not first use us as a testing rats. Then we die. The operation is successful, but the patients die. And the patient should never be an entrepreneur. Again, I speak for only a micro entrepreneur. If you carefully word my speeches, I have never addressed it as a MSME community. Today, MSME community is a much larger. The medium scale and the small scale are no more to be considered for a micro entrepreneurs. So for them, it is not possible. A one-man driven organization, a startup driven organization, the digital empowerment has only killed us. Coming to the other market mode of digital platform, whether it is India Mart or an Alibaba, like Indian Alibaba or the Amazon or the Flipkart, I can tell you thousands of cases where the payment issues have come up. I can tell you thousands of issues where the rejects have been instantly returned back to the people without even properness of addressing it. There are issues, but that's one way of today because the pandemic has taught a digital online platform growth. A mega sales of the Amazon and the Flipkart has been a great success. Nobody can deny that. That's all what it is. We need to be careful. We just can't be a blind follower of digital platforms. His enterprise might get closed, but the entrepreneurial skill can never dry. If one door closes, he will open 100 doors. Let CIBIL score go down. Let defaults can happen, but he will resurface. He will re-emerge only as an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur never retires. I'm telling you this, the pandemic has taught many people many things. It is not easy to be a family member of an entrepreneur. It's very difficult because we smile 24/7. People get used to it as a natural smile, but it's an artificial face of smile. We have become like that. But this COVID time has exposed our pressures to the near and dear in the family. Everybody has come to know of what exactly is the pain points of an entrepreneur around him. If a man has lost his earning, for example, I know somebody who borrowed 45 lakhs against his house and then started a gym with all the equipments before COVID. And he inaugurated it on 15th of March. And from 24th, the lockdown started. He could never get up. And when he came back to reopen, the machines have almost gone through the warranty period of theirs. And he could not restart. Where will he go? So some people lost their income, or their profit, what they made in their life. Some people lost the profit, what their parents made. Some people lost many things in their life. But the only thing they did not lose is their entrepreneurial spirit. The gig workers are a classic example now. I have known so many press friends of mine who have been in the press as a regular job goers, but now they have become a freelance writer to multiple organizations. So don't worry, an entrepreneur remains an entrepreneur till his death. And as far as to answer Mr. Vishwanathan's query, micro entrepreneurs will show the strength of theirs in the coming next 3 to 5 years. Whether the government helps or not, they will be a powerful tool you cannot ignore. You cannot paint any rosy pictures of the growth of this country without the growth of a micro entrepreneur. That is the strength of them, and that is unfortunately the weakness of them.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring.
So, Rabi, I just wanted to conclude one point which I thought I must share here. When I was going through with my banker, I didn't want to name that banker, but at the topmost level, like Mr. Shankar is, I was at the age of 55. And when I went to him when we were in a serious setbacks, I told him, sir, do you want me to tell my children and grandchildren when I see you after 10 years somewhere in a temple that here is a man who closed my enterprise? Or do you want me to tell my grandchildren that here is a man who built what I am today? Choose your decision. And I walked out. And he helped me. But for him, I would have continued as an entrepreneur. I salute such officers. I salute such people who think from their heart, act with their brains, and write something which is the fate of entrepreneurs and the growth of entrepreneurs. Thank you. And I am so glad to be in the company of Mr. Shankar and Mr. Ketan. Thank you, Surabhi, for getting the best out of the voice of the voiceless. Thank you.